So you are thinking about moving to the great state of Texas, or maybe you already know that you are going to be moving here and you would like to know just a little bit more about the place you're going to call home. Well, in this video, I'm going to go over 5 things that you need to know before moving to Texas. If this is your first time to our channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know everything there is to know, the good, the bad, the ugly, pros, and the cons about moving specifically to the North Texas area. I am Jennifer Fowler, and along with my husband and partner, Brandon Fowler, we run Fowler Realty Team, and we get people reaching out to us all the time, people just like you, wondering what it's like to make the move to the North Texas area, and we absolutely love it. So if that's you and you're thinking about moving in 9 days or 9 months, or maybe in just a few months, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. All of that information will be in the description below. And we would love to help you make that smooth move to the North Texas area. But in this video, we are going to be talking more generally about Texas, but I definitely will be referencing the city that I live in, which is Denton, Texas, which is north of Dallas-Fort Worth. I will be referencing that often, but in general, I will be talking about just the entire state of Texas. All right, so let's get to it. We're going to talk about the 5 things you need to know before moving to Texas. Okay, so let's just get number 1 out of the way. It is hot in the summertime. Right now we are in mid-July, and yes, we will hit 100. But I will say I have lived in North Texas my entire life. And, I remember as a kid calling time and temp because there were no cell phones. And so you would call to see what the temperature was. And I remember as a kid, it would get up to 106. It wasn't all the time though. Last summer in 2022, we did have a summer that I have never experienced ever. And like I said, I've always lived here. We did actually get up to 113, 114, 115. And that was in July. And it did come back down. I don't ever recall that happening ever. Most of the time in June, you're gonna get up to, the 90s. Same with July, you might reach 100. For sure by August, you've reached 100, 101, 102, 103. That is more typical. In fact, aside from the last summer that we had, honestly, the ones before that, for several years, just were not horrible. You could still sit outside, especially in the evening with friends and family, but it is hot in Texas. North Texas isn't as bad as places like Houston and Austin. Houston is so humid. So if you've got a choice between San Antonio area, the Austin area, Houston, or where I am, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm always gonna say Dallas-Fort Worth because weather is a huge factor. Humidity is gonna make it seem way hotter than it is. So if you've ever been to Florida, like I've been to Disney in, I think it was June or July, 90 degrees. To me, 90 degrees is great. Couldn't breathe at all. In fact, it was worse in the shade because there was no breeze coming through. So yes, Texas is hot in the summer and it is humid even in North Texas, but not as bad as Houston. We do have seasons. People always seem to think that we don't have seasons. We absolutely do have seasons. October and November are beautiful. I know it's only 2 months. In late September too, because the humidity drops. In September, it might still be hot, but you can see the humidity drop. We have falls. Last fall, I don't know what happened. Everybody noticed the trees were the most colorful I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, I've never been up to the East Coast. It is my dream. It is my goal to see the leaves in the fall. But what we experienced last fall with the leaves was absolutely breathtaking. And I don't know if it has something to do with the major hot summer. I have no idea what happened. It was fabulous. But we do have fall. We love getting out our, pumpkin candles and boots and sweaters and things like that too. We have winter. December and January and February are going to be cold. Specifically, January and February are cold. To me, 32 degrees is really cold. I do not like it. I do not like to be cold. I would rather have it be 100 degrees than 32 degrees. The last 2 years, we've had major ice at the same time of the year. Both times were in February. Last year, it wasn't too severe. And it was more isolated to our area, but we were supposed to go to a real estate event. We were supposed to fly out and we could not. So But in 2021, we had what was called Ice-Mageddon, and the entire state of Texas was basically shut down, and it was a disaster that is beyond rare. There will be some years where you don't even see a snowflake. So Texas, it just depends on what you like. If you love the heat, come on to Texas. If you love being cold, well, this might not be the place for you. So it gets hot in Texas. So that would be the first thing that you need to know. All right, the cost of living in Texas is actually pretty good. Now, I'm gonna compare it to places like California, Colorado, Washington, anywhere on the East Coast, some places in Florida. But Texas really has more affordable living. Now, I live in North Texas. I live about 40 minutes north of Dallas and Fort Worth. So because I'm further away from the big city like Dallas, it's definitely a lot more affordable. Here where I live, we're seeing price per square foot. It really could be as low as $140 or maybe even lower, depending on the condition of the home, up to about $250 a square foot. And it really is just going to depend on the neighborhood, the finish out of the home. I've got other videos, specifically Denton videos, on all of that. And then we're going to do videos on places like South Lake, Texas, where those can go like 300 a square foot up to 600 a square foot, just depending on many factors. But a lot of the suburbs of major cities are going to be a lot more affordable. Now, if you're wanting to live in Dallas, in downtown Dallas, you're going to pay a price for that. It is going to be more expensive. But overall, there are plenty of places to live in Texas that are affordable. If you go a half hour north of where I live, Gainesville, it's a really small town. Not many people want to live that lifestyle of being far away from other towns. It's even more affordable. So it really just depends on how you want to live and where you want to live. But I will tell you, the North Texas area has some awesome places that are still considered affordable. Gas prices here are going to be lower. Apartment living is going to be lower than a lot of other metropolitan areas. So the cost of living in Texas is, I would say, is really good. Okay, let's talk about taxes. So Texas does not have a state tax, but we do have a property tax. And I know that shocks a lot of people when they're considering moving to Texas, because our property tax where I live here in Denton, the city of Denton and Denton County, is about 2.12%. So whatever the taxable value of our home is, we pay 2.12%. So, I'd say about the average where I live is about $5,500 a year for tax. Not the average, I'm sorry, maybe on the slightly lower end is going to be about maybe $5,000 a year. But then you've got places close to me that are paying $10,000 to $20,000 a year, but the homes are a lot more expensive, or they live in a city right outside of Denton that has some kind of an additional tax. So you're definitely going to want to take that into consideration when you're looking at home. We have property taxes here in Texas, and some of those are based on, are you in a hospital district or things like that? Your rates could be a little different depending on each city. So definitely look at property taxes. Our sales tax is 8.125% here in the city of Denton. So we do have sales tax here. Some places are higher. I hear that some places have all these additional taxes as well as sales tax. So taxes, property taxes in particular, that's definitely something that you're going to want to talk to your realtor about when you're considering purchasing a home in Texas. So before moving to Texas, you need to consider the job market here. Actually, the job market here is really great. Texas has a lot of companies that are offered. A lot of them are in the places that I live. You've got some in Austin and Houston and other areas, but we have Dell, Apple, Lockheed Martin. Denton has Peterbilt, and they are a great employer to work for. We've got Toyota, Amazon, Boeing, Raytheon. We also have Hewlett Packard, and Texas also has some amazing hospitals to work for too. So the job market in Texas is very, very good. And even during a recession, or even when things kind of got bad during the pandemic, Texas just seems to be, it's definitely not sheltered from all of that, but Texas has always just fared well when it comes to its economy. So there's definitely a lot of jobs to be had in Texas, a lot of very good jobs. According to Wallet Hub, Texas ranked as the #1 state to start a small business. And this is based on business environment, access to resources, and business costs. So, as you can see, Texas is a great place whether you are starting a small business or you are working for a corporation or a restaurant or a hospital or whatever it is. Texas really does have great job opportunities. And the fifth thing that you need to know before making a move to Texas, you really just kind of need to know where you want to live. Because here in Texas, you've got a lot of opportunity. You could live in the city. You can live in places like Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Waco, a place like Denton, or you could live in a more rural area of Texas. You've got East Texas, West Texas, which has a lot of land. But you've also got places like Amarillo and Lubbock. There's just a lot of different ways that you can live here in Texas. You could live in the big city if that's what you prefer. But then there are so many suburbs that surround those big cities to live in. And then even further out from that, you do have a lot of rural living that people really like if you want it to, a place that's more quiet and probably more affordable. Then you can do that. There's Wise County, which is right next to Denton County, which is in North Texas, is, but further away from Dallas. It's more like an hour or an hour and a half. So you still get some proximity, but you're really further away. It's more affordable, but it is definitely more rural. So it just depends on what you prefer. For me, I like city living. I want to be within 10 minutes driving distance to a grocery store. But other people, they don't mind if it's 25 or 30 minutes. So it really just depends on what kind of living you like. And you also have to marry that with your budget and what's affordable for you. So Texas has a lot of options. I think it's a great state to live in. Yes, it's hot. But you know what? There's a lot to do. There's a lot that Texas has to offer. It is affordable. The economy is great. We have great jobs here. So we'd love to help you answer any questions that you might have about what it's like to live in Texas, living in North Texas specifically. And if you are someone who does live in Texas, whether you were born and raised here or whether you are a transplant, leave in the comments, what do you love? What do you hate about living in Texas? I love to chat with you about that. But if you have any questions, you know what to do. All of our information is in the description below. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you on the next one.